Coming up on this edition of KnightCast, we will look back on last week's historic night as we crown a new most offensive yardage king of the LHSAA. Plus, a look at this week's matchup in a semifinal rematch of last year. Plus, boys and girls basketball off to a great start. All this and more coming up next on KnightCast. Welcome into KnightCast, everyone. Jay Miller, alongside of my co-host, Amy Kane. We hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving last week. And LCA football now heads to the semifinals, Amy, for the 7th year in a row. Boys and girls basketball off to both great starts. Plus, Amy, can you believe we officially have a new king of the boot? Jawan Johnson breaks the all-time LHSAA most offensive yards in history. 103 years of athletes. Jawan Johnson is king of the boot.
I know, and you weren't excited at all about it. You were not looking forward to it. You were so subtle. So subtle.
I wasn't even sure if I was going to go to the game.
I know. They couldn't even keep you in the booth. What are you talking about? I've never seen a play-by-play guy, like, abandon ship so he could go and be down on the field. I was cracking up. I was like, and there goes Jay. But yes, Jawan finally gets it done. But more importantly than that, Jawan proves what he does under pressure. You know, I mean, that was my thing, is look, as this countdown started to get very real, he played under a lot of pressure, knowing every pass, every run was somebody counting that yard. That was absolutely unbelievable that he stayed focused and was able to get it done earlier, honestly, than expected. You know, he came into the season needing 4,319 yards. We counted every week last Friday night. The record is finally broken, and he still has one, possibly 2 games to go. So who knows where the record actually ends up before all is said and done. I mean, it was epic and absolutely a night that was fun to be a part of.
It was, and we've got it all on camera. We're going to show you that celebration a little bit later on in the show, but right now, we want you to hit share, hit like, text somebody, let somebody know that we're live from the KnightCast studio right now on this Thursday. Also, special thanks to Paul Mancuso and Vital Integrators. Thank you for your continued support all season long, Paul. For all of your IT needs, call Paul at Vital Integrators.
Now, last week, Jawan came into that game only needing 331 yards to actually break the record. Now, that may seem like a lot, but remember this. LCA averages 500 yards per game. So, barring an injury, something really crazy happening, it was going to happen last Friday night. So in the end zone, as I said, Jay, always so subtle, made sure that there was a TV that was set up so that there could be a countdown. I mean, no pressure. Not only did he have to play knowing that the record was going to possibly, most likely be broken, but every yard was going to be counted down with Brandon Shelvin behind it, with what I like to call the weekly Brandon Shelvin wedding, who every time Jawan threw a pass, we got to see what the latest Brandon Shelvin stack was.
Smothered pork chops, barbecue,
rice dressing, pineapple. I mean,
he ate all night long.
He did. His nerves clearly on tap for that. It was really pretty fun. But we're gonna get to that in just a minute. But let's go ahead and get to the highlights. That's the fun part. Let's go right to it.
McDonald 35 came into Knight Field last Friday night for their second time in as many years to face the Knights in the playoffs. The Ron Eagles, their mascot, made the trip from New Orleans, and they were coming off a pretty impressive win in second round playoff. We'll pick up in the second quarter with the Knights now leading 14-7. Jawan Johnson, he's going to begin this drive at his own 27-yard line. He needed 331, and at this point of the game, he needs 240 yards. On first down, Jawan keeps on the read option and goes for 37 yards into Ron Eagle territory. Next play, Jawan keeps again, And this time goes 33 yards into the end zone, basically untouched. Jawan would finish with a total of 6 touchdowns, Amy, on this historic night. It's now LCA 22, Ron Eagles 7 in the second quarter. After that drive, the number is now 172. On the following possession by the Ron Eagles, quarterback under pressure, Bryce George hits the quarterback, ball comes out. It's Luke Green. He's there to pick it up, and the Knights offense comes back onto the field. So, from the 27-yard line, first down, Jawan finds number 19. Who? Senior linebacker Cooper Martin, and he takes it down to the 1-yard line. Amy, that's his first high school career reception ever. Next play, Noel up the middle from 1-yard line. It's now 29-7, and that magical number of 331 is now down to 145. After a Ron Eagle touchdown, Knights get the ball back, and they go to work. Jawan finds Trey Grogan. He'll take it 7 yards down to Ron Eagle territory. That number now 138. Next play, Jawan 32 yards to Jalen Noel, and watch this catch by number 22. You see Jawan scrambling in full coverage. Noel goes up, makes the catch. Next play, Jawan for 13 yards. That number steadily coming down. First and goal, Knights. Next play, Jawan gives to Noel. He takes it 10 yards down to the 3-yard line, setting up the next play. Jawan finds Trey Grogan from 3 yards out. Knights extend their lead 36-13, and the number is now 102. In the first half, Jawan accounts for a total of 229 yards. Needs 102 in the second half. Amy, take it from here.
All right, after an opening possession TD from the Ron Eagles, making it 21-36, Jawan heads back out, and it's going to be a second half for the ages. On first down from his own 27, Jawan finds TJ Marzell on the tunnel screen, and TJ takes it to the house, 73 yards and a score. The Knights take a 43-21 lead in the third quarter. Now watch TJ Marzell peek a look at the yards to go monitor set up in the end zone. The new number, now 29. 29 yards to make history. After a punt from the Ron Eagles, that settles at the 1-yard line. Jawan takes over. On first down, Jawan picks up 8 yards, but a second down sack and a loss of 5 yards brings the number back up to 24 yards, and the Knights are going to be forced to punt. Sam Taylor punting from his own end zone. He sends one deep. Get a great LCA bounce, and Taylor's punt, a 62-yarder. Unbelievable for a high school punt. On first down, the quarterback, he goes back to pass, but the ball is going to be tipped in the air. It's picked off by Cooper Martin. He takes it down to the Ron Eagle 23-yard line. Are you kidding? Jawan needs 24 yards. The ball's on the 23. Come on, hold on to your seats, everybody. Reagan down on the sidelines, and he's really excited.
The energy's high, and the team knows what's going on. Obviously, we have the TV screen you've got to see all night. A few people, after every possession, they come talk to Jawan. After the last possession, they actually went to him and told him to check it. He said, I don't even want to look at it because he knows that number's getting closer and closer to 0. So the energy's high. The crowd is electric. The coaches have been on fire all night long. It's been fun to watch, fun to be a part of. We got history in the making coming up in the fourth quarter.
On the first play of the fourth quarter, 23 yards out, Jawan makes one of his signature plays of his career. He shakes, he bakes, he goes 23 yards and ties the record with a touchdown of his own. How fitting is it that he ties it on a signature move? So the yards, they go down to 1. The whole stadium knows he needs 1 yard. Now the Knights defense just needs to get the ball back to the offense so that he can finally set the record. I mean, there is some buzzing going on in the stadium at this point. Fourth down for the Ron Eagles, and the pass goes incomplete. The Knights are going to take it over 4 minutes, 46 seconds remaining in the game. And here comes the offense. Jawan needs 1 yard, and Jay, the entire stadium on their feet, holding up one finger. First down. Jawan needs 1 yard to break the record. He gets 4. And now we have a new offensive yardage leader for the state of Louisiana. Jawan Johnson finishes with 13,662 yards with still more games to go. Timeout called. Jawan comes out of the game with a standing ovation. So, who's going to replace the senior next season? Well, that's a very definitive answer. It's Braylon Walker. Walker says, look, I'm going to give you a little preview of what's to come next year. Walker in the game, he hits Trey Grogan, 44 yards and a score, and that makes it your final score of the game. LCA 52, McDonough 35-21, and the post-game celebration began. Let's take a listen to the PA announcer.
Will, at the close of his high school career, finish as the best high school player in Louisiana history. Tonight, the ball that was used on that play that broke the record will head now to the trophy case and never be used again. The jersey that Jawan is wearing tonight will also head to the trophy case after the completion of this year's season. That jersey will never be worn again. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand to your feet as we crown the new record holder for the most offensive yards in 103-year history of Louisiana high school football.
And Jay, that celebration goes on until about midnight. You know, what was the old song, Oh, What a Night? Well, this was late November in 23 instead of late December in 63. So, reference to everybody that gets the reference from, you know, the Four Seasons.
It was an historic night. It couldn't have played out any better. You know, going in, Amy, as you said earlier, 331 yards needed. We're averaging close to 500 yards. So you knew it was going to happen. Barring an injury or just something bizarre happening, it was going to happen. But you didn't know when it was going to happen. Could have been in the first half. And it almost was. It could have been in the end of the third quarter, middle of the third. And it happened with 4 minutes remaining in the game. And the place was just unbelievable. The energy in the stadium. And Reagan, after the game, got to catch up with head coach Hunter Landry, and he talked about last Friday's big win. He talked about Jawan Johnson, and he talked about, but we'll talk about in a minute, he talked about big matchup coming up tomorrow night in a semifinal matchup here at Knight Field.
Here with head coach Hunter Landry. What a special night. One, congrats on another win, progressing to the semifinals. What does that feel like as a coach, first year going to the semifinals in 4A?
Yeah, man. You know, sometimes you get lost in like the success that we've had the last couple of years. That is just normal to practice, but there's nothing normal about what we've done. You know, super excited for the kids to be able to play another week. You know, be around each other. So I'm so super excited for it.
I know this is your first year as head coach. Many years as offensive coordinator over the last few years. Getting to play and coach with Jawan Johnson, such a special night. Him breaking the record tonight. What does that mean for you as a coach, being a part of his journey for a few years now?
Yeah, you know, I mean, all the credit to him and some of the skill guys he's been able to play with the last couple of years. You know, I'm glad to just be a little small speed bump in some of the success he's had. You know, but a lot of credit goes to him, man. He's a tremendous football player, but just a tremendous person outside of football.
Got to pick your brain a little bit. We got Turlings at home next week. Last year we played Turlings on the road at their place. What are our thoughts going into this big game next week?
Man, we're so excited, you know, just to be playing another week. You know, obviously we're super excited for it to be a home game. But, you know, I told the kids, like, with the Turlings team we saw in Week 7, that's not the same Turlings team you're going to see. You know, that was very uncharacteristic for them. So we got to come ready to play. We have to have a great week of practice and, you know, hopefully be ready to come Friday.
Thank you, Coach. Enjoy the win.
You know, Amy, one of the big difference makers on the field on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, the night was all about Jawan and that magical number, but on the defensive side of the ball, Cooper Martin came up big. And Reagan got to catch up with Cooper Martin in the locker room after the game, and he talked about his big catch that should have been a touchdown.
I'm here with senior Cooper Martin. Cooper Martin, what a game tonight. Not only big plays, but big hits all throughout the night. What does it feel like being able to do that Friday Night Lights in front of the crowd?
It feels good, you know, narrowing down to my last couple games. So I'm just trying to leave everything I can out there and just keep making an impact and help the team get to what our goal is in the state championship.
Now, do you realize what happened on your interception? Jawan needs 24 yards to break the record. You intercepted. Great game-changing play, right? But you get tackled on the 23-yard line.
When I realized that happened, I was like, when we went out there for the next drive when he needed 1 yard, I was like, I hope I get another one. I'm going to run out the 2-yard line so I can let him just punch it in and get it.
Now, it did, I'm going to be honest, it raised the anticipation because now he tied it.
Yeah.
And so it made it good. Now, I also got to ask you, obviously you catch interceptions, not your first interception. You caught a reception. That means on the offensive side. Was that something y'all been drawing up for a bit?
Oh, no. So that play's been in the playbook since about Acadiana. We're supposed to run it. We're supposed to run it in Acadiana, Ruston, Turlins, and STM. Never ran it.
Just because it's an opportunity play, right?
Coach called my number. I thought I got in. But we got there.
Now, a lot of people were rewinding it during the game. I was listening to the broadcast. A lot of people think you got it.
It's all right. Hey,
they didn't give it to you.
As long as I could pad to 2 stats, that's all that matters. So 2 got him another one.
There you go. Congrats, 19.
Yes,
Enjoy the win.
So last Friday, Jawan breaks a 24-year record that was set by Brock Berlin, who played for Evangel Christian up in Shreveport his years 1996 to 1999. Now, he set the record, remember, 13,659. Well, Brock had to say this about Jawan after Jawan broke his record.
Hey, Jawan, this is Brock Berlin. Just want to say congratulations on breaking the all-time yardage record. You've had an unbelievable career, and we look forward to watching you many years to come.
Man, class act. You know, it was probably around week 3 that Brock says that Jawan got put on his radar, that this could be a possibility. So while we all were watching every Friday night, so was Brock Berlin. And he sent that just a few minutes after that record was broken, which if you look at when he recorded it and had it ready to go. I thought that was fun.
Class act for sure. I enjoyed talking with him on the phone the weeks leading up to the big night. And we wish Brock the best there in Shreveport. Now, Amy, this year for Louisiana high school football, but also on a national level, there was another record broke, and that was broken by J.T. Curtis of John Curtis Christian School. And he was recorded 622 wins in his career as a high school coach, and he became a national record of most wins by a high school coach. Now, just weeks ago, LCA Knights volleyball made it to the quarterfinals in the Cajun Dome and just so happened to be playing on the court next to John Curtis. And J.T. Curtis, who just set the record the day before, happens to be sitting right next to Jawan Johnson. And so in the Cajun Dome, we had one record breaker, one would-be record breaker just weeks away. And Coach Curtis grabbed Jawan, and he had a few words of wisdom for Jawan.
Trust the Lord. He'll direct your path. And it will always be straight. It will never go wrong.
I love it. Trust the Lord. There you have it. Amen, Coach. There's going to be a movie about him. Got to be.
There will be.
Yeah.
Well, tonight, Amy, as you see on the table in front of us, we have some special memorabilia. We also have a special guest in our live studio tonight. Tonight, we welcome into the KnightCast studio Mr. Football Jawan Johnson. He's going to be walking in, and we have the ball that he used, and that ball, Amy, will never be used again, never be touched again on that record-breaking night. And as you said, that number is only going to be padded in the next week and possibly in the Dome in 2 weeks from now. Let's welcome in Jawan Johnson. But more importantly, we have the individual behind all of the memorabilia. We want to welcome to the KnightCast studio, Mr. Football, Jawan Johnson. Jawan Johnson in the studio today. Jawan,
thanks for coming and visiting with us.
Welcome into KnightCast.
All right, Jawan. So it finally happens. How you feeling? Had a little chance to process everything. Right. So is it sort of a, okay, I'm glad that it was great, but it's done. Let's focus on going to get a state title.
Definitely excited. I'm blessed. Obviously God gave me a great talent to display. But yeah, now that it's done, now that I'm feeling kind of relieved about it now I can just focus on winning games and go to the championship.
Okay, how hard was it? This one puts a TV screen up that you had to watch the countdown. I was like, no pressure. You know, how was it playing with that countdown happening there?
Knowing that
did you notice it? Did you see it?
I did. They came by me. They came by me right before the game actually, and it was like, you see the TV, and at first it was just like a display of Jawan Johnson watch or something like that, and then when the game actually started, I seen 331, I think it was, and that's when the pressure started building. I got to get it tonight.
Yes, get it done.
Right. Now, how you know, we showed it a moment ago. Cooper Martin's interception. You need 24 yards
24.
At the end of the third quarter. Mm-hmm. He takes it down to the 23-yard line. I'm like, can we get a false start?
I was about to say, or a sack, like, oh
no,
my.
No sack.
Just let it, or take a knee.
Yeah, like
accidental victory formation.
But it really worked out great because at the beginning of the fourth quarter, you scored from 23 yards out, so you tied the record on a touchdown. Did you realize you tied the record on that touchdown run?
Definitely. I think they got a video of me running off the field saying, God playing on me right now, because I tied it. It was 23-24. I tied the record. So it was definitely a moment where I just realized, well, dang, I could have got it.
And then there was a number 1 on the screen, 1 yard to go, and the Ron Eagles get the ball, and they just steadily, methodically move the ball up the field. And the clock's just running. I tell Deani on KnightCast, on Night Vision, I'm like, they're not going to have the ball all 12 minutes, right? Like, we need 1 yard. And with 4 minutes, I think, 32 seconds, we showed it. Fourth down, incomplete pass. Here comes Jawan Johnson, the offense. The whole stadium standing up, holding up one. We knew it was 1 yard.
Did you take that in? Did you get to see the stadium?
Could you feel it?
I felt it definitely. And I knew Coach would go call a play to me. So it was just like, I just got to get this 1 yard. Just get it over with right now.
Were your teammates
definitely
keeping you updated on how many yards?
I think right before I ran out on the field for the 1 yard, I think Britt Miller actually came to me. He was like, we got to go get 1 yard, just one, and then that's how I went.
Because we looked at the film, and there were several times. I'm not sure if it was TJ or Trey Grogan. He comes off the field after a touchdown, sits down, turns and looks at the TV to see how many yards Jawan needs for that. Well, Jawan, look, I'm not going to keep it. This was a championship belt that was given to you. It was a celebration that is going to go down in the history books of not only the LHSAA, but the history books here at Lafayette Christian. And now, you got to tell me if this is true. So last week, the quarterback who you basically shattered all of his records, who held him for the last few years, and that's Zach Clement. And Zach Clement was a senior your 8th grade year. And his 8th grade year, Amy, Jawan was the water boy. Am I right?
You are.
And so Zach Clement's getting all the accolades his senior year. He just had a historic 2018 run through the playoffs. We smashed, I don't know who we played, Ascension Catholic, 62-0. Zach throws a pass to Errol Rogers, first play of the game, 70 yards. 8th grade, Jawan's a water boy, and he looks at Zach Clement and says, you know, Zach, I'm going to break all your records. Is that a true story?
It's true. Actually, that is actually a true story. I was kind of cocky back then, so I was on
Back
just
then.
telling them what it was.
Back then.
I was kind of cocky, so I definitely
Well,
told
I asked Zach Clement about that, and Zach Clement said it's exactly what he told me. He's sitting there handing me water and saying, I'm going to break every one of your records.
You know, you got to put it out there.
Hey.
You do. Right. You have to put it out there. And you cannot play quarterback the way he plays quarterback without having that vision and that dream of what you were going for. Right?
Brock Berlin sent you a very encouraging word. I'm sure you saw that on Twitter. It's been widespread. Max Preps picked it up. Your story, Jawan, has been seen by over 1 million viewers. It's been absolutely phenomenal. It's been a great year, and as we said earlier in the program, you came in to the year needing 4,361 yards, and last year you had over 5,000. So we knew from week one, barring an injury, barring something crazy, that record was going to be broken at some point. And so thank you, Jawan, for entertaining us and letting us be a part of your journey and your ride and all of Knight Nation.
Now
and
go get ready for tomorrow night.
Right.
Beat Turlings and go get you a state championship.
Yes, ma'am.
Finish it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Finish it off. All right, Jawan, thank you for coming in and
Thank
visiting
y'all.
with us.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll show you a little bit of that celebration from Jawan Johnson on that Friday night. It was epic. Check it out.
Let us see the ball. Let us hold the ball.
Okay, so the record chase is finally out of the way, and I say finally because we had a big semifinal game to get ready for tomorrow night, and that, of course, is when the Turlings Rebels come to town, and this is always such a brutal matchup for these two teams when they get together. Now, remember, last year in district play, the Rebels were able to upset the Knights here at home. It was a TD pass, the last play of the game, the final score 21-17. Now, the Knights did get revenge earlier in the season, and they won by a total score of 68-46, and that was spoiling the Rebels' first ever appearance in the state championship game.
Now, Amy, in district play this year, the Knights would make that 3-mile trip to Rebel Stadium in regular district play week 7. And of course, the Knights came away with an improbable 61-3 victory over the Rebels. Now, I can tell you now, that will not be the same team that enters Knight Field tomorrow night. In fact, in this year's playoffs, Turlings has beat the number 10 seed Madison Prep, who many thought Madison Prep would go all the way to the Dome, I might add. And then they upset the number 2 seed on the road, E.D. White, and it wasn't even close. 42-28 in the quarterfinals last week on the road. And after that week 7 blowout by the Knights, I'm telling you, the Rebels are going to have it turned up tomorrow night. In fact, if you do the math, ever since that 61-3 massacre at Rebel Stadium, they have been playing a type of football that we've not seen all year. In fact, the Knights lost to STM in week 10 by 4. The next week, after the Knights basically pummeled them, they lost to STM by 1, and there was a controversial call at the end that would have secured the Rebels the win over the Cougars. So this should be one for the books tomorrow night. We had a record-breaking crowd for STM week 10. It was the first time the Knights would host the Cougars at Knight Field. Well, let me tell you, I have a feeling that we're about to break the record that was set in week 10 just 3 weeks ago,
that record gets
because
broken,
they're a lot closer. Now, this will be the 3rd semifinal game that the Rebels have played in their school history. This will be the 7th semifinal game that the Knights have played in. The Knights have won all previous 6 semifinals. The Rebels, 0-3. This is going back to the Jake Delhomme years, all the way back back in the day when Coach Tommy Badon was one of the coaches there, when they went on they remember one year, I think it was, correct me, 83 or so, no one scored on the Turlings Rebels all year. They gave up 0 points until the semifinal game. They lost that game. They've never made it to the Dome, if you will. And so tomorrow night, it's going to be record-setting, especially if we get a little break in the rain that we had today, get a little break tomorrow. It is going to be epic, as they say.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I absolutely am looking forward to talking about that win as we get ready to go back to the Dome. How about that?
Well, thank you, everybody. This concludes this edition of record-breaking, historic, epic, use whatever word you want. We want to thank all of you for supporting us all season long here on KnightCast. Thank you, Paul Mancuso, for your continued support of Knight Athletics with Vital Integrators. Amy, thank you for putting up with me all year long. Hopefully, we'll be sitting in the Dome in 2 weeks, right next to each other, watching LCA win a 5th title in 7 years. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.